Welcome to the place where the night never ends, and neither do the screams. Turn off the lights. Lock your doors. You're about to hear stories that were never meant to be told. Deadwind Outpost wasn't on most maps. Tucked away in the Arctic Circle, it served as a weather station and emergency refueling depot, but most called it the icebox. Staff rotated every 3 months. That winter, only 5 people were stationed there. New recruit Kara Monroe, a meteorology intern, arrived to find the team odd. There was Mason, the engineer who rarely spoke but had a taxidermy hobby, the kind that displayed mutilated snow hares with human-like teeth. Olga, the medic, was calm to the point of disturbing, always humming lullabies from her Soviet childhood. Ben, the station manager, insisted everyone follow a strict schedule, down to timed bowel movements. And then there was Travis, the cook. He smiled too wide, joked too much, and asked odd things. If you had to eat someone to survive, who would you pick first? That night, Kara couldn't sleep. The walls groaned like voices whispering in the ice. In the hallway, she thought she saw a shadow crawl, not walk, across the floor. On day 6, Ben vanished. No one panicked, at first. Maybe he went out to check the comms tower. But when Kara found his bloodied clipboard wedged in the ice locker, she couldn't breathe. Travis laughed when he saw it. Guessed the icebox finally claimed a soul. The crew began unraveling. Kara heard footsteps above her bunk, but the ceiling was solid ice. Olga taped knives under her bed. Mason stopped talking altogether. Kara found her food tasting funny. And when she vomited, there were tiny metal shavings in her stew. Then they received a radio signal, looping on repeat. He's still inside with us. He never left. He's in your skin. The message wasn't from another station. It was recorded from inside their own building. Kara started snooping. In Travis's quarters, she found butchered polar bear organs in jars. But they weren't polar bear. They were human, labeled like meat cuts. Travis caught her. Smiling. I only take the useless parts. Don't worry, you're safe. For now. Kara and Olga hatched a plan, trap Travis in the supply shed. But someone tipped him off. When they opened the shed, it was Olga's body inside, skinned clean and posed at a dinner table. A fork in one hand. Her own eyeball on the plate. Kara ran. But the door locks had been rewired. Someone was watching her from the vents. Breathing heavily. Later that night, she found Mason's journal. His last words. Travis isn't the killer. I am. I wore Ben's face. I fed Travis his own dog. I wanted to feel something again. The final blizzard hit hard. Kara locked herself in the comms room, sending out mayday after mayday. No one answered. She could hear 2 sets of footsteps circling the building, one heavy, one slow, dragging. A voice came through the wall vent. Mason's voice. I opened Travis up. You're next. You'll make a perfect Kara skin coat. She set the station on fire. When rescue helicopters came 2 days later, they found her shivering in the snow, clutching a butcher's knife and wearing someone else's parka. They asked her name. She smiled. Travis. Miles from the nearest town, trucker David Croft's rig broke down in the middle of an Alaskan snowstorm. Out of gas. Out of luck. He spotted a flickering neon sign through the blizzard. Glacier Motel, vacancy. The place looked deserted. But the front desk bell worked. Out shuffled the clerk, a pale man in a tattered suit. "We don't get many folks in winter," he said, teeth yellow and wet. "Room 6 is ready. You'll be comfortable." The hallways smelled like bleach and meat. Inside room 6, the mirror had a long crack down the middle. The bed sheets were warm. There were photos taped to the wall. Of David. Sleeping in his truck. Showering at a rest stop. Someone had been following him. He ran to the front desk. The clerk was gone. So was the snow outside. Now there were no windows at all. David tried leaving. The front door opened into the same hallway every time. Room 6. Room 7. Room 8. Down another corridor. Room 6 again. He screamed into a vent. A whisper replied. He watches through the walls. You're in the maze now. Each room held something different. Room 9, a bathtub full of teeth. Room 11, a typewriter repeating, "You aren't real David. You're the replacement." Room 14, himself. Sitting on the bed. Smiling. Eyes missing. That night, someone slipped a note under his door. In blood. He skins guests and wears their lives. Don't sleep. Don't bleed. A knock came. 3 times. A voice on the other side. Room service. David broke open a panel behind the dresser and crawled through the motel's wall vents. Inside, he found a hidden passage leading to the basement. It wasn't a basement. It was a museum. Dozens of mannequins. Each dressed in real skin. One wore a flight attendant's uniform. Another, a fisherman's waders. And on the far wall, Polaroids, names, and belongings. Room keys labeled not by number, but by identity. He found his own wallet in a glass case. And beside it, an empty mannequin. A voice behind him. You were always meant to be room 6. The man who checks in but never checks out. It was the clerk, but his face peeled back like a wet glove. Beneath was a woman. A scarred woman with empty eye sockets and a stitched mouth that whispered inside your head. She tried to put the mannequin's skin on David. He fought back. The motel groaned and shifted, reshaping itself into a maze of flesh and doors. He crawled into a vent, climbed out through the ice machine, and made it to the snow. A real road this time. A snowplow passed. He flagged it down, screaming, half naked. The driver took him in, made a call. You say Glacier Motel? That place burned down 5 years ago. Everyone died. The manager was some woman who stole identities. Skinned people alive. They never found her body. David looked in the rearview mirror. His reflection blinked, but he didn't. Then it smiled. It wasn't David anymore. In February, Dr. Aaron Blake and 5 colleagues were left to finish a 6-month isolation study under the ice. Beneath 60 feet of solid glacier, the station had no contact with the outside world, just an automated supply chute and one emergency phone. The final supply drop came late. But inside the crate wasn't food or fuel. It was a body, frozen stiff, mouth sewn shut, with a note carved into its chest. "One of you doesn't belong." No name. No ID. Just silence. The team voted to lock the body in storage and wait out the final 2 weeks. But things started going wrong. Lights flickered. Files were deleted from the mainframe. Someone poured bleach into the food stores. And then one night, Erin woke up to find someone had shaved her eyebrows off, and stapled a rabbit's paw to her pillow. Engineer Jonah went missing. At first, they thought he wandered into a tunnel. Then they found him in the ventilation shaft, bones snapped, body folded like origami, eyes wide open. The emergency phone was smashed. Erin suspected Caleb, the quiet one. But when she checked Caleb's room, she found photos of the rest of them. Taken while they slept. Pinned to the back of his door was a list. Jonah, done. Erin, next. Dr. Singh, X. Caleb. Owen. Simone. But Caleb denied everything. He said he found the list in Jonah's locker. That night, the generator died. The station dropped to -6 degrees Fahrenheit. Someone whispered through the vents. "One of you is a souvenir." Erin cracked. She demanded answers from Dr. Singh, the project lead. Singh confessed. There was never a research grant. This was an experiment in paranoia. To see what isolation does to the mind, and how long someone like him could hide among normal people. Who? Singh shook her head. He's been here before we got here. We brought a stranger with us. The group tried to escape, only to realize every tunnel, every door, led back into the station. And then Owen confessed. He was a survivor from the last test group. The only one left. He had killed the others to survive, and they buried the truth by placing him with this group, to see if he'd do it again. He smiled. You want the experiment to end? Then give me a reason to stop. He pulled a scalpel from his pocket and began walking towards Simone. Erin didn't run. She baited Owen into the cryo chamber, a sealed medical freezer built for frostbite emergencies. As he lunged, she slammed the button. -80 degrees Fahrenheit. In 12 seconds, Owen froze, glassy-eyed and still smiling. His lips cracked off like porcelain. But the door wouldn't reopen. She was trapped in there, too. Her radio crackled. A voice came through. Erin. This is Control. The experiment is complete. Open the chamber in 48 hours. Don't fall asleep. We'll need to study you next. She screamed as the temperature dropped. And the next supply crate began rising from beneath the floor, ready for another guest. Wildlife biologist Lena Harlow was researching lynx migration through Alaska's interior. She was alone, with her snowmobile, a satellite radio, and a cabin stocked for 3 weeks. But on day 4, she noticed something strange. A row of animal traps, not hers, lined a path near the ridge. Each trap held a human finger. She radioed her team. Static. Later, she saw fresh boot prints circling her cabin, but they never led away. That night, something slammed against the cabin wall, then ran. Lena chased with a flare. In the snow, she found a wooden mask carved like a fox's face. On the back, it read, "The hunter sees you now." Everywhere she turned, someone, or something, had booby-trapped the forest. Deadfall pits. Snares. One almost caught her ankle. She found a tooth in her food cache. A human tooth. She tried escaping on her snowmobile. The fuel line had been sliced with a razor. A bone tied to the seat. Still wet. That night, she lit a fire. A voice echoed through the trees. I've hunted wolves. Bears. Men. You, Lena, are my last trophy. At dawn, she found her trail cameras stolen. In their place, photos of herself, sleeping, hung from tree branches like ornaments. She had become the prey, Lena turned predator. She studied the trapline, marked the pattern. Whoever this man was, he used animal behavior. He mimicked pack movements. He wore bones. She found his old kill site. Ribcages hung like wind chimes. Skulls carved into dice. IDs nailed to a tree. There were 12 names. All women. All solo backcountry travelers. The killer wasn't hiding. He was inviting her. She built her own trap. Dug a pit. Covered it with furs and pine. Baited it with her scarf and blood. That night, he came. Tall. Masked in bone. Naked except for a belt of fingers. He spoke in a low, calm voice. You're smarter than the others. That's what makes you delicious. She fired. She shot him in the leg, but he smiled, even as he fell into her trap pit. He didn't scream. Just whispered. Now you know what I felt. When they locked me up the first time. She radioed her team. This time, someone answered. But it wasn't her team. Lena Harlow. This is Officer Griggs. You found him. Escaped convict Albert Fisk. Former wilderness survival instructor. Disappeared 6 years ago after murdering 12 women. He turns people into bone totems. But when help arrived, the trap was empty. No blood. No body. Just Lena's scarf. A week later, another woman went missing in Denali. A bone mask was found nailed to a tree. Inside it, Lena's photo. But Lena was never seen again. Or was she? The new trapline held 13 fingers. During a historic blizzard, 5 travelers were stranded at an isolated rest stop off Dalton Highway, the kind with no gas, no staff, and no way out. Alex and Maria, a honeymooning couple. Tony, a trucker with a shady past. Grace, a nurse on leave. And Kyle, a man who didn't speak, only smiled. Winds howled at 80 miles per hour. No one could leave. No cell signal. No power. Just dim emergency lights. That night, Maria disappeared. They found her coat in the snow, but no footprints. On the restroom mirror, someone had smeared in blood. She didn't scream loud enough. Tension turned to paranoia. Alex blamed Tony. Tony blamed Kyle. Kyle just stared. Grace insisted they stay together. But the next night, someone sealed Tony's door with ice. When they broke in, they found him hanging upside down, gutted like an elk. His eyes had been gouged, placed in a coffee mug. Kyle vanished. Then the lights flickered, and a recording played from the vending machine speaker. This is the final test of empathy. The last to survive, wins their face back. Grace snapped. She said she recognized the killer's method, it matched a patient she once treated for facial identity disorder who escaped a facility outside Fairbanks. But he was supposed to be dead. They searched the rest stop. Found a hidden room behind a soda machine. Inside, photographs of all 5 of them, with their faces cut out. A box of latex face masks. A surgical table with blood still wet. Then the generator died. The blizzard swallowed all sound. Only 2 people remained, Grace and Alex. She accused him of being the killer. He laughed. Then tore at his cheek. And beneath it, was Kyle's face stitched crudely to his own. Alex was never real. He'd stolen the real Alex's face back at the first gas station. Grace fought him. Set fire to the storage room, blinded him with flares. But the killer escaped into the storm. She ran too, into white nothing. A week later, a rescue team found Grace half-frozen near a ranger station, wrapped in bloody coats and humming. She couldn't remember her name. Couldn't remember what her face used to look like. The cops reviewed the scene. One thing bothered them. There were 6 toothbrushes. Not 5. Someone had been there the whole time. Someone who left with Grace's name, and Grace's face. In the village of Talvik, winters were brutal. People stuck together, shared what they had, and never, ever asked what was in the town's meat locker. Mila, a photojournalist doing a documentary on Arctic towns, noticed something odd. No animals. No meat trucks. No hunting parties. But every house had fresh meat. Tasted like pork. A bit sweet. She asked the mayor. He smiled and said, "The mountain feeds us. Just don't ask what mountain." Later that night, her host family warned her. Don't leave after dark. Don't look at the ice barn. And never follow the whistling. That night, she heard it. A whistle, long and slow, like someone trying to mimic a bird through broken teeth. Mila followed the sound. It led to the meat barn, sealed with padlocks and chains. She picked one. Stepped inside. It was colder than outside. Inside were rows of hanging bodies, skinned and numbered. On the wall. Freezer man chooses who lives. Feed him or freeze. A journal near the door described an old town legend. In 1964, a starving man turned cannibal and was buried alive in the glacier. The town made a deal, feed him 1 stranger a year, or he'll come for us all. As she turned to run, she slipped in blood. And from the ice chest, a long, bony hand reached up. Mila ran to the sheriff. He locked her in a cell, for her own safety. That night, the power failed. The door slid open. The whistling started again. Slow. Wet. Hollow. She saw him, the freezer man, 8 feet tall, skin frosted solid, his lips gone, just black gums and filed teeth. He whispered with his whistle. "You're late, meat. I starved all spring." She escaped through the sewer tunnel and emerged outside, only to see the entire town waiting, torches in hand. "Give him the girl," the mayor said. Weeks later, a documentary aired exposing Talvik. But when a crew went there, the town was gone. Burned to the ground. No people. Just a single meat freezer, humming in the snow. Inside, the reporter's camera. And a note carved into the door. "You filmed the freezer man. Now you feed him."